Welcome to the Feel the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Perry. And as usual, we've got the owner and CEO of DT Footwear, Ron Heinlein. And today's episode, Ron, you wanted to talk about a common issue that you deal with on a regular basis when helping people find the right shoes for their foot problems. In this case, it's edema and this misnotion that a 6E or a 9E is going to be the right fit. And I don't even need to measure my foot. But that's not really the case, is it?
No, it's not the case. And we see this quite often. Everybody's amazed to see that we have 9Es, and it's an extremely extremely popular concept for us, the 9Es. But that doesn't mean when you have major, and I'm going to use the word major, if you got a little bit of edema, okay, your 9Es and 6Es, good chance of fitting. And I asked every person who calls me, and I get a ton of calls during the day, is that I asked them when it's involved in edema, is that person or yourself, whoever it is your foot one or two sizes larger than normal? If I hear one or two, I tell them, especially in men, there's no way that a 90 is going to fit you. Most of them want athletic shoes, and athletic shoes are in a prefab bottom, and I'm not going to get into detail on that, but it's a narrower base. So our 90 is more like a 7E, even though it's a 90 upper, the base is not as wide. That's not our fault, it's just a prefab. So a tennis shoe isn't going to work. On a 10E bottom or 14E bottom, first of all, there's no tennis shoes in the world that's stocked in a 10E or 14E by nobody. And we don't either, but we do special order those. And that 10E is sitting on an 11E bottom, and that 14 is sitting on a 15E bottom, and we're giving them the full width as much to give them the wiggle room and so on. Because normally when you swell, major swelling, you swell in the instep, the top of your foot, and around the ankle. I have one shoe I start with people, and that's a 728E. I'm very proud that it was told a couple of years ago, considered one of the number one shoes in the world for edema, hammer toes, and bunions. And it wasn't us. This was by a national recognized company. And in turn, we found that works perfect because it's got a stretch material over where you swell the instep, and stretch material around the collar of the shoe where you swell in the ankle. That's men's and women's. So we make the same shoe in a women's, the 628E. So I just get people that don't measure themselves or don't communicate and order a 9E and say, oh, wow, that's going to fit. I had a case yesterday. And for her husband, couldn't even get his big toe in there. Okay, that 9E wasn't even close. Well, come to be that we got measurements, and he's a 14E width. Okay, and I said, let's start with a 728E. That's a stock shoe. Just remember, special orders cannot be returned or exchanged because they're not stock.
All right, so let's talk about. Yeah, let's talk about this real quick, because you mentioned athletic shoes are not available in, say, a 10E or a 14E. However, there are shoes from 𝗶𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗹 that are available that do have an athletic upper to them. However, in order to make it into a 10E or a 14E, they got to put, I think you call it an EVA bottom.
It has to be an EVA bottom, correct. And it's a special order. All those are special orders. And anything in the 𝗶𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗹, and if you go to the men's and go to 𝗶𝗶𝘀, any of those styles could be made in a 10E or 14E called special order. Takes 8 to 10 weeks to make it, and we make it in our factory. And just remember, when you think that a 9E is going to fit your foot that's 2 or 3 times larger, no, contact us. Let's do some measurements. Let's find out, and let's fit you properly. And that's what I try to, and it doesn't seem to, people just think, oh, 9E. Oh, I have had a 6E, and 9E is going to give me all kinds of room. Not in that condition. If your foot's 1 to 2 sizes, and that's men's and women's, we can make a 10E, 14 in any shoe in men's and women's involved in the 𝗶𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗋 world.
Right. And to give people kind of a conceptual idea, going from a 6E to a 9E, what is the actual width difference inside the shoe?
1/16 of an inch difference each size. So 6E to a 7E is a 16th.
Right. So we're
8E
talking
is
3/16 then.
3/16 between
Okay.
that.
So that's
and
just under a quarter of an inch.
yeah, under a
Yeah.
quarter of an inch is
Yeah.
what it is. And so I want you to, everybody thinks of 16 and 90. Whoa, they're enormous. Well, half sizes in shoes, men's and women's, is only a 16th of an inch difference. So a whole size is an eighth, 2/16. And that's the difference. There isn't a lot of difference in it.
For people that are interested in measuring their feet, but they're really not sure how to do that, where can they find that guide? I know you have one on the website.
You just go to the home page and you go 3/4 of the way down, you'll see a soft tape measure. Up above that is a bar that says additional information. Click on that because the video will be there, but the form's very important. I need you to fill out that form. I need the left foot, the right foot. Even if there isn't, even only if one foot's swollen, I need to know both. From that point, I need to know ball width. I need circumference around the instep and the ankle. I need to know that to determine what width, because those are all numbers that come in to determine the width of the shoe and the length.
And I would imagine also potentially the style of shoe, because you mentioned athletic shoes coming, that they can be special ordered, custom ordered on a 10E or a 14E, but for some people that may not be the right choice, I would imagine.
Well, it could be the right choice, but you can't return them, and I can sleep a lot better if I know that we can start out with a shoe that can be returned or exchanged. And I've even done this. I've said buy the 728E or 628E for women's and try it. If you hate the shoe, but it fits like $1 million, then send it back. And then in turn, we'll order. Now we'll take that die and last in that shoe and put whatever upper you want on there, and knowing that we're going to have 80-90% chance of fit.
Right.
And that's the way I go. And I do that quite often, and people appreciate that I talk to them. And that's why we're doing this podcast right now, because everybody thinks that the 90 is going to fit 2 or 3 times size of a normal foot. It is not.
Okay.
So, and we've got it, but we don't stock it. No one stocks it, but special order is available.
Right.
All right. We're one of the few websites that do special orders.
For those of you that have questions about edema or major swelling of the feet and ankles, feel free to reach out to Ron. His information is on the website, may it be phone, text, or email. With the proper measurements, he can help you decide what is the right shoe for your specific needs. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those below, and we look forward to seeing you at the next podcast.